Hi, it's Amanda, Creative Gardener. This is one of my favourite times of the day. First thing in the morning when me and Cole, come out and he goes and runs off to see his friends, and I take my time to go around the garden and do the many things that have become routine in my life now. One of them is just to be present in the space, the ever-changing space, seeing all the plants grow into themselves, be who and what they were created to be. To hear that sound, that's Cole playing with his friends. They're on opposite sides of a wall, and then you might actually come see him bounding through this space, a space that he created in the hedge. The birds sing their morning songs. There he is. Oops. He was barking too hard for a minute. So that's his space that he's created over there. An exit to our creative garden. I'm going to make a entrance there. That's for another project. But one of the daily things I do is to collect any of the shack tree pods. They drop daily, and sometimes they open before the whole pod drops, and they release their between 8 and 13 seeds on the ground, or they drop intact. And I collect them and put them all in here, and then they're dispersed around the edge of the garden. I just put them in the hedge. I just find little pockets, and you're going to see one now. I've yet to find, I haven't yet found medicinal use for them, but they're magnificent trees. And in the breeze they make a wonderful sound. Almost sounds like rain at times. But they grow, they provide shade, they provide a nested space for the birds. They produce these beautiful flowers which are scented. So this area of the garden, let's take a look. This area of the garden is filled with beautiful aroma. How pretty the flowers are. And then as the flowers dry, as you can see there, the birds come and use them as part of their nesting material. I think it's more the inside of the nest. They'll take those flower petals and add them to their nest. At the moment, I'm marveling at the paths I've created. If you've seen any of my other videos where I look at how the paths are developing and the ways of creating a path, you will see that it's come a long way. I've now got areas that are sectioned off. I've recently chopped and dropped the leaves from the shak tree. When they dry, they don't actually decompose readily, so they're good for the path. So they go like this, and then they become like skeletonized, and then they dry. So it's quite a long process. So here's another little path. I try and use, here's another little shak tree pocket. And I just pop them there. Go this way. As the when we had our first rains and the grass really took off, one of the things I do, so I'm able to do it say twice a year, is to let it dry and then put it on the paths, and that stops it from getting really muddy as the rainy season approaches. And here I've got more of the shak tree leaves. The other thing I use on the paths is fountain grass, and I have used the black, a black sheet of plastic. This has been here for several years, and I'd like to cover this area with wood chips. So I'll go this way. This section of the garden, I guess you're getting a tour. This section of the garden was the first that I developed. I was putting all this was the richest side because of the way that the beds were formed, and all the nutrients and all the really good soil was here. And there was a mound created here to separate, all around the garden, to separate this side from the next. And we have an organic farmer next door. So I started planting up this area, and every time I got a new plant, I would put it here. And so we've got our scaevola there developed. I'm allowing that to grow as tall as it wishes. Our moringa trees, we've got a lot. There's a mongoose. It heard us, so it's run back in. We've got 3 back here, 3 moringa trees, and the birds usually have their morning chats up there. And then this one goes round. I've just created this one because it went a bit further out, but the papaya tree that was here died, and so I didn't want to cut this branch from the mango tree. So we go down, and we've got pomegranates, Suriname cherry, bay leaf. This one here is the same as this one, and it's called Quadrilla indica. This is another highly scented plant that the birds, this was their offering, and it just started to grow, and then it's been growing as I've allowed. This was the mother plant, and it produces these long pods, which I've shown in other videos, and you can see when it opens they're red inside. These are the flowers that are gonna, it's kind of producing a mixture of flowers and pods. These are the pods in early formation, and when they split open they're red inside. It's some more flowers getting ready to pop. And I've just still been investigating. As I say again, the birds dropped it. I've found out the name, but not any of the properties yet. This was one of my first aloes, this particular one, and it has produced so many babies, and these are all the ones it's produced since I've this is the third time I've split it up, and then I left it, and it's just produced 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I decided just to allow it to grow. It's growing in that direction, so it's fine. There's a fence back there, so I don't mind this area being filled with aloes. If it wants to grow that way, it can. A little wheelbarrow. And yeah, I just love how everything is just working together. I've got some cassava growing here as well. 5-fingered fruit. It probably does need some more air space. So I'm gonna clip the moringa tree up there. This was one of the first that I planted, and it's spread its roots far and wide. So we've got some of its roots over here. And here, acting like a natural border for this part of the bed. I normally put these stakes in as well. Again, at this time of year, the soil has just softened up, and I can proceed with the chop and drop. I use the Mexican sunflower and the river tamarind leaves. They're nitrogen fixers, and so I've allowed several, at least 20 of them, to grow in the areas of where I just dotted around the garden. And so I will chop and drop. So I'll take the leaves, I will take the branches, and that's usually what I use for, I just highlighting the bed to keep the leaves, as I put them in like that, it stops anything from going that way. The wood that it produces is fairly strong. And then we're coexisting with some ants. I'd put this pipe here. I'd had I can't remember what plant I had here, and put that pipe here so that water could go down. Let's see them come out. Usually if I'm disturbing this area, they start to come out. Anyway, and I've got this one here that they've built a nest in, so I've just left it. And one day they'll move. They also have found a nest in this was my papaya tree. It produced about 5 papayas, then the snails got to the root, and this is the same with my male. So again, I allowed it to just drop and the ants have claimed it as their home. Inside, they hollowed it out, and there's nice little caverns that they can go in. So as this decomposes and goes back into the soil, it'll take its time, but it also then acts as it prevents runoff as well. So as these die down on the bed, it continues to break down and provide nutrients, and there's no runoff. It was important to me to make sure that we retain as much of the nutrients in each bed, especially because we're on a slope. I have another helper in the garden, and that's the parakeets. They're the ones that come and strip. They realised that we've probably got over 40, 50 moringa trees, and they come and they strip the pods open and remove the seeds. And then the seeds will drop, the seed pods will drop, and I allow them to just remain, especially in areas that have become recently exposed, like here. So I would either get the Mexican sunflower and put on this bed. I've started already on this side. So this was done yesterday, and they dry down pretty quickly. And I also just recently, it was yesterday, cut back the pomegranates that I've got over here. There's about 6 plants here. So I just trimmed them because I wanted them to be at a reasonable height so that I can reach the fruit. And then I've used the leaves and the branches as chop and drop. This has actually got the wood to the pomegranate is really solid, but it also has spines on it, which I cut myself on one. They're very sharp. So yeah, I come in the mornings and I walk around and see what needs tending to. It's like a continuous circle, but I enjoy the space that's developing. I commune with the plants and enjoy the breeze that we get. And just enjoy and marvel at simple things like knowing that I grew this from seed and then being able to see it producing seed. Every single plant in here, apart from the mahogany tree and the frangipani tree at the front, I planted. So everything that you can see here. And that's a viewpoint that I love as well. Just looking up there and seeing, I'm not seeing the wheelbarrow, but just seeing the trees overhang, and before there was nothing there. But just enjoying the ever-changing space. Thank you for joining me today. I'll see you soon.